Hello and welcome to our new series for Women's History Month, and that is Women in Comics. All month long, we are going to be recognizing women in comics, whether it's women who write comics, women who draw comics, women who are in comics, whatever. Women in comics. That's indie space, not indie space, whatever. If women are involved in comics, those are the people we're going to be trying to highlight this month. Today we're talking about and focusing on Sana Amat. Sana Amat is an editor at Marvel Comics who has worked on things like Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, Miles Morales, as well as Captain Marvel. She's also a co-creator of that one right there in the corner, our very own Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. A comic that she also got to bring to the White House and show to President Barack Obama herself. She's also worked on Hawkeye, Daredevil, True Believers, etc., etc. After working on a magazine for a few years, she went over to an indie comic book company, but when they went out of business...
By the way, Jones, Women in That Comics here, and it's Women's History Month. And so we're going to be talking about women in comics and any aspect of it, and we're going to be talking about Regina Sawyer. Regina is the owner, writer, and creator of Lock It Down Productions, and she actually employs all female comic book artists, and they have an emphasis on women of color. She's the author of The Rippers, Eating Vampires, and Ice Witch. I'm really digging the artwork. I honestly haven't heard about a lot of these, so I'm really glad to have come across. I'll be checking this out for sure. Man, there go another one. I believe that's from the Eating Vampires. Man, this looks sharp. Real sharp. So y'all check out Regina Sawyer, Lock It Down Productions, and everything that they got going on out there, and get full support. These awesome women in comics for sure.
Today in Women in Comics, we're talking about Afua Richardson. Afua is a comic book artist who has a bunch of really cool, notable things that she did before she even became a comic book artist. So if I were you, I would really check her out. Like, she was a dancer, she was a beatboxer, which is really cool. She's played flute. Like, woman is a multi-talented enigma, and it's awesome. She did many notable comics, starting with her own comic called Genius, which is a really cool comic book, and you should totally check it out. Destiny is a tactical genius who puts together pretty much a military to fight against the LAPD. So check it out if you're interested. Another story that she did art for is the Amazing World of Wakanda storyline. Art throughout is from this amazing woman. She also did multiple other covers for DC and Marvel, including Totally Awesome Hulk, Wildstorm #2, Captain Marvel, X-Men, and so much more. In 2011, she won the Nina Simone Award for Artistic Achievements. This woman is talented and amazing and works to make a difference.
Back to our Women's History Month videos where we talk about women in comics. Today's a very special episode as we're going to be talking about Tashi J. Tashi J is an actress, voice actress, poet, and author. She's actually an author of several of our stories, most notable being Admani. This is a very, very cool character that she's working on, and I can't wait for you guys to check it out. Now, another thing about Tashi J that you guys might not know, or you guys may have recognized her, I guess. She's my super awesome and amazing, amazing wife, and I want you guys to go ahead and give her a follow on all of her platforms. You can find her as official Tashi J. Check out all the ventures that she's getting into. If you guys need voice acting, any acting, or any writing done, again, check her out, official Tashi J. You can find her on TikTok and Instagram. Love you, dear.
Okay, so we need to talk about Cindy Moon, because Cindy Moon is one of my favorite spider people, and there's already rumors that she's getting a movie, so happy Women's History Month, I guess. Cindy Moon, aka Silk, Korean American, bit by a spider not long after Peter was bit. Like, the spider bit Peter, and then before they found it, it went and it bit Cindy. So I guess the spider was hungry. Okay, so unlike Peter, Cindy has organic web, and I've never understood why that wasn't just standard for all spider people. Why did Ben Reilly, the clone, get the organic web and not Peter? So Cindy's approached by this guy. This is Ezekiel Sims. If you don't know much about him, then you should look him up, because I don't have enough time. Anyway, he trains her for 6 years before locking her up. Why? To protect her from this guy, Marla Run. Okay, this is the enemy of all spider people throughout the multiverse. So because of their spider sense, Silk and Peter have this weird, like, intimate attraction all the time. So it's hard for them to be... Today on Women in Comics, we're going to talk about an indie creator by the name of Jay Wynn. Jay Wynn created a comic series called Gehenna Imperium, which means Hell Power. This is one of the issues. This is issue 2 right here. There are currently 3 issues out. Here's a quick snapshot of the interior. The story is essentially about a young woman named Zilla, who's a martial arts master seeking vengeance, and then, after being abducted and brutalized, she lands in a hellish purgatory where her only chance to regain her earthly mortality is to prevail in a cosmic combat tournament against demons. The creator, Jay, we used to live in South Korea, and she was studying Taekyon martial art, which is a martial art form that predates Taekwondo. While she was living there, she started doing filmmaking and everything, but then she moved back to the US, where she didn't have the best venue for doing filmmaking like she did in Korea. Since they didn't have the same venues anymore, she decided she wanted to start making comic books instead. She was a huge fan of mangas and manhwas and not really comics, so she combined those concepts to make the comic book story that she has. She also one day wants to make it into an animation.
Honored by Lloyd Jones of Midnight Comics here. We're back with Women in Comics, and today's person, Charlene Jones. Charlene Jones is a Kansas City-based writer, and she is a 2-time Glyph Award winner. The 2 books that she's written are Gumballs and Black Star, Birth of a Supernova. I've had the pleasure of checking out Black Star, and man, oh man, that story is amazing. Definitely looking forward to the next issue of that. Charlene's definitely out there kicking butt, so I'm going to have all her information in there, Sugarline Publications. I'll be sure to have it in the description, so you guys can visit the website, follow her on Instagram and all of her various social media. Very awesome woman, and man, y'all won't be disappointed with her content. Just look at the interior really quick before we end it off. Look at that. I can't give y'all too much. I need to go ahead and pick it up. But man, outstanding stuff, y'all.
Did you know that Alicia Keys had a comic book? Alicia Keys literally co-authored a comic book earlier this year called Girl on Fire. Now we all know who Alicia Keys is, Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, etc., etc. So we're going to be focusing on the main character of the story and the artist of the story, Brittany Williams. The main character of the story is 14-year-old Lola Wright. She believes she lives a normal everyday life until one day her brother is staring down the barrel of a cop's gun and she unlocks powers she didn't know she had. Once she unlocks these powers, some really bad guys find out about them and they try to use her powers for bad. And she fights constantly to make sure that does not happen. So let's talk about the illustrator, Brittany Williams. Brittany is an LA-based illustrator who's worked with Disney, Netflix, and a bunch of other big-name companies. She's also a 2-time GLAAD Award nominee, and she tries to make things for the queer and child community. Found one little website, but you can also find her on Instagram.
It's Lloyd Jones of Midnight Comics, bringing you another edition to our Women in Comics series, and today we're going to be talking about Dr. Sheena C. Howard. Dr. Howard is Associate Professor of Communication at Rider University. She's a filmmaker and an award-winning author, specifically an Eisner Award a little while back, and one of the stories that she has done is superb. She's also worked on this book here, Encyclopedia of Black Comics, where it basically talks about all the people of African descent that have had a hand in comic books, in the various aspects of it. Dr. Sheena is very outspoken in bringing social issues to her comic creations. Y'all should definitely check all her stuff out for sure. I know we will be doing that. And, yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Today on Women in Comics, we're going back into the comic books, and we're going to talk about Michonne. But not Michonne from the TV show, Michonne from the comics, because they're actually very different characters. I actually remember being really shocked by Michonne's characterization. Not that I didn't like it in the show, because I read the graphic novels and it wasn't her at all. Michonne's initial appearance in the comic isn't that different from her appearance in the show. She comes up with her katana and 2 zombies chained together with their lower jaw missing, but here, those zombies are her boyfriend and her best friend. She saves a member of Rick's group, and eventually they all welcome her in. Pre-apocalypse, Michonne was a lawyer and she had 2 daughters. Since she wasn't home when the outbreak happened, she ended up losing contact with them and didn't see them for a long time. I guess spoilers from this point forward, because I'm going to be talking about some more recent stuff for a second. More recently, Michonne got to reconnect with her youngest daughter, but the other one was lost, and she became the new attorney of the Commonwealth. So, today on Women in Comics, we're talking about Mikki Kendall. Mikki is an author, activist, cultural critic, and she created her own comic book series, along with a few other things. Of course, today, the book I'm referring to is Amazon's Abolitionist and Activist that she came out with in 2019. This book is a graphic novel about the fight for women's rights throughout history. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend you do. Kendall has a master's degree in writing and publishing. She is also a veteran. Thank you for your service. Now she's an essayist and a cultural critic. She has written for The Guardian, The Golden Globe, NBC, Washington Post, etc., etc. She's recognized a lot on Twitter for her hashtag Solidarity is for White Women and Fast-Tailed Girls, referencing hypersexualization of Black girls. She's an extremely notable woman, so if you don't know her, you should get to know her.
All right, bye. Lloyd Jones of Midnight Comics here to talk about women in comics. And today we're going to be talking about Jasmine Trisdale. And Jasmine Trisdale is the CEO, writer, and creator of Oza Comics. Asa Comics is home to the Keepers, a book of multicultural women from different realms tasked by the gods to protect, keep balance, and save the universe. She even has a little kid version, Asa Minis, which showcases some of the same characters from the first one just now with the Keepers. And how she has things broken down, which I really like, is there's 7 realms, and how she broke it down is basically how humankind, or mankind rather, traversed the world. So the realms are broken down. So you have a realm for Africa, essentially, is one realm, a realm for Europe, a realm for all the different continents. So really like how that's broken down. Definitely picking this up. Check her out on our various social media pages. All of her content is really trying to inspire and empower women of color to be great and do great. So definitely check her out, Jasmine Trusdale, Asa Comics, awesome stuff.